Well, today we have a new episode that hits the Apple TV Plus, and I just watched it, and I am really excited to break it down and discuss the parts that you might have missed, and try to lay out the interpretation for you. So the first clip is actually this ball guy arriving in the rain. Uh, if you have watched my video from last time, I pointed out in the trailer that well, it's showing this guy's arrival. So, and at the time, I said that this guy could be the arrival of something evil or something negative, and it actually turned out to be true. This is Lian's so-called uncle. So, now let's watch this clip. So, a couple things to notice here. First, I mentioned that the rain uh, has a special place in this TV show. And remember that when Lian arrives in this house, she arrived in a rainy night. Now, this guy, when he arrived, arrived in a rainy day. So, I think a couple possibility that rain could have special meaning, or rain is simply used as a setting to tell you when something negative, something evil, something some drama is about to happen. It's simply to set the tone for you. Okay, so and second, pay close attention to Lian's facial expression. Then you see that she obviously is not happy to see him. She's not coming up to, hug this uncle, and she's almost treating it as if she she is subservient to this person. And it's like in a corporation, you have the audit department. They come into the department to do some examination to look for your flaws and so on and so forth. So it does not look like a happy situation for her. The next clip that I'm showing is at the entrance. Lian is telling her uncle to take off his shoes because Mrs. Turner does not want shoes in the house. And you see that this guy, for one, is not wearing socks. And he has a lot of bad nails, could be fungal infections. So I believe what this scene is telling you is this uncle is not used to dress up. He's not used to dress in the suit, but he's here on a mission to retrieve her, and he had to, put on something that he's not comfortable with. He is just someone from the countryside, maybe living a very primitive lifestyle.
No, but I know you.
So the next conversation I want to add is when Mrs. Turner discovered somebody is in her house unannounced. So she went upstairs and she saw this man, and Leanne mentioned that this is her uncle. So Mrs. Turner was asking him, I haven't met you before, but the uncle responded by saying, you don't know me, but I know you. So this is sets up a very mysterious tone, but we are likely will get some answer in a little bit in this episode. Okay, so this next clip that I want to analyze is when Dorothy or Mrs. Turner invited this uncle of Leanne to have dinner with them that night when she came home. So at the dining table, as soon as Dorothy just sat down by the dining table, the uncle just grabbed her by her left arm, which, as you can imagine, would be kind of inappropriate because they have never met before. So, but you find out later on that he just wanna pray together, and this guy is apparently very religious, and he's praying in a foreign language that we do not understand. So maybe that he felt that he needs to include her as part of the prayer, and that perhaps he even is praying something for her, which we do not yet understand at this point. Now, this next clip, let's watch it.
We have a verbal agreement.
A month's trial,
Yes, that's right, but we just included that.
in case you wanted to get rid of her.
So, this next clip is part of the conversation at the dinner table when the uncle basically told Dorothy that he has to take Leanne back home to attend to something urgent, and Dorothy is not happy about it, and so they start arguing, and we found out that their original arrangement is to have Leanne to come for 1 month trial period. So at this point, they have not signed a contract. So as the uncle pointed out, this 1 month period is just so that they can get rid of her if they don't like her. So the uncle is been a little blunt. So I think here, the uncle is basically almost mocking Dorothy that, oh, you want to keep Leanne, but you originally only planned to pay her and left this door open to kick her out if you want to. So it's not like your attention towards Leanne is the best from the get-go. So that's just kind of a shed the light about what was the original arrangement, and what was the situation might have changed because the bond between Leanne and baby Jericho, but that was originally what the couple wanted. It's just a 1 month trial. Now let's watch the next clip.
No one else. Oh, not that he's a bad person.
Sometimes people need a firm hand to know their place.
So this next conversation is almost immediately after the last clip that we watched. So basically, Dorothy is telling the uncle that, oh, Sean, the husband, it works in the gourmet food area, and he is known to criticize the best restaurants in town, and he is proud of that. So in response, the uncle is basically saying that sometimes people needs to be put in place by a firm hand. So I'm not sure what he's referring to. Is he referring to that these restaurants, they shouldn't get too carried away? We need people to provide critical opinions, and Sean is serving that purpose? Or is he saying that Sean perhaps is a little too cocky sometimes, that people need to let him know that you really don't know better than these expert chefs in these restaurants? So it could go both ways, but I sense a little sarcasm of the uncle. So I would say that he really meant that Sean is too cocky and proud of himself, and somebody needs to brought him back to reality. So now let's look at another clip. about this dinner table.
Pleaser. Most beautiful baby you ever saw. Wouldn't know what to look at her now, though.
So this conversation is, I think, it's perhaps more revealing. One of the more revealing scene in this episode. So basically, um, Dorothy is praising Leanne's manner at the table because apparently the uncle is doing a lot of gross and untraditional things about the food and so on. So Dorothy is praising Leanne, but the uncle in response is saying that, oh, Leanne perhaps is one of the prettiest baby that you have ever seen. Emphasis is on you have ever seen. So I guess pointed out to Dorothy. So that kind of raised a question to me that um, is this baby? I mean, Leanne. I mean, is she? Did Dorothy saw her when she was a baby? And apparently, this latter response is basically what the uncle is saying, that Leanne perhaps is not as pleasant as before because she does not obey him and does not do everything that he tells her to do. So it's kind of interesting. So I'm interested in really to find out what the backstory is this, and how is this family, Dorothy, Mrs. Turner, how is this family connected to this uncle and Leanne? So I'm trying to find out more. I can't wait to find out more.
Tell me who the fuck you really are.
I'm the same as you, Julian.
You figure?
Uncles. It's a greater responsibility than people realize. In the event of a tragedy, that's when we step up, take the child under our wing, if we're good people.
So basically, Julian, the brother of Dorothy, show up in the middle of the dinner conversation, apparently because Sean called him to come over after finding out that this stranger uncle just showed up in their house. So basically, right off the bat, Julian just confronted the uncle, basically asking, who the hell are you really are? Because we're knowing that apparently the whole family of Leanne has died, and we know that because there's a tombstone in there. So, and this kind of connected with my analysis in my part 2 video, that I said that we probably would expect some relative of Leanne to show up because we know that she originally died in 2002. So where did she spend the time between then and now 2019 when she was 18 years old? So, and then in response, this uncle said, "Oh, I am the same as you are, Julian." And by that, I mean that he is the uncle of Leanne. So probably means that he is the brother of her mother, and Julian is the brother of Dorothy, who is the mother of this newborn child, Jericho. So, so that's what this part of the conversation is about. Now let's continue to watch.
We're both good people, aren't we, Julian?
So in this this episode, this clip, that this part of the clip, that the uncle is saying that when tragedy is about to happen, which I guess he's referring to the coming bad things to come to the family, because I guess we saw in the last episode that Cricket came into this house, so it's a sign of something bad is about to come. And this is also kind of hinted by Leanne herself too. So he's saying that if we're good people, then we should, I guess, take the child away from the bad situation. So he is asking Julian that, are you good people? Basically, he's saying, and are you gonna take responsibility of the child under your supervision. So very interesting. The last part of this conversation, the dinner conversation. So, and then he was asking Julian, "Oh, we are both good people, aren't we?" So basically, he's asking this with the a bit of sarcasm. So it sounded like that he already has some prior knowledge of who this brother is, what kind of person that he is, and we know that the guy is not married. He's pretty much still a immature young dude, and he has done a lot of things to make Leanne's life miserable in the past episodes. So, and then you can see that this kind of a guilt felt by Julian by looking at his facial expression. So this is very interesting. That so it kind of also raised my curiosity about what exactly is the connection between the family. So I'm assuming we'll find out more in the future episodes. Now this next scene that I took from when Dorothy is up in her room, and after she told the uncle that he should spend the night with them, and she's gonna go fetch some night clothing, I guess presumably from Sean, for him to wear to sleep, since he didn't come prepared and he wasn't gonna just spend the night, he was just gonna yank Leanne out that same night. So in this conversation, we saw that the uncle just came up and showed her a photo of a old lady and a baby and a young child, presumably her daughter. So he is basically so a question right off the bat is now, is this picture taken from the house? Is this picture already here? We haven't seen it previously, so we don't know anything about Dorothy's mother, and we didn't know that she has a sister. So that's really intriguing. Or is this photo actually brought up by this uncle, that this photo is actually in his possession? Remember that the uncle actually told Dorothy that you don't know me, but I know you. So, and he basically told Dorothy that how old, basically was asking Dorothy, how old were you when your mom passed away? So, and we can kind of guess that the young girl on the right, sitting on the right, is probably Dorothy, and that so she looks, I would guess, just as the same age as Leanne when she interviewed Leanne in the dance competition a couple episodes back, when she is probably around 9 or 10 years old. So this is very very interesting. Then it kind of make me wonder that who raised Dorothy when the mother passed away? Where's the dad, right? What was the situation there? Was and who was the sister? Is she still alive? And was was there a tragedy happened in Dorothy's family too in the past? And is she a reborn child herself too? So this is very interesting. And obviously at this point we don't know anything about it. So it just raises more questions on it. But a general takeaway of this particular scene is that the uncle is basically asking Dorothy that, do you actually think that Leanne is gonna be better off staying with you instead of coming home with me? So it sounded like that he has some backstory about Dorothy that we do not know. Maybe something not so good about her past and so on. So I'm interested in finding more about it. This next scene that I took from the encounter, I guess in early morning time hours, that we see a loud band, and then Julian and Miss Turner got up, and they were looking for the uncle. They were looking for where the noise source is from. So after they went up to the baby's room and they found Jericho actually on the ground making noises, I guess a little upset. I mean, he's unharmed, but it turned out that he kind of it turned out that the uncle actually jumped into the crib. So I guess the loud noise is probably just of him, climbing in the crib and try to sleep in the crib. So I mean, the scene itself is pretty disturbing, but I think it could also raises some question about why does he want to sleep in this crib? And remember, we previously knew that that crossing that Lian Han, it was above the crib. So this crib maybe. So my interpretation of this is that this crib it's perhaps the safest zone in the whole house, and he probably knows it. Remember that burn house where the cross was hanged, that spot where the cross was hanged, that wooden cross figure, it's the only spot that hasn't been burned down. So I'm guessing that you have had you watch the whole episode, you found out that this uncle really does not think highly of this house, and that he thinks that this house is godless. So maybe he understood that maybe he's afraid of something, that maybe he feel like he's safer sleeping in that particular crib in that spot. So this is very interesting scene indeed. Now this next picture that I took is from towards the end of the episode that we saw that this puppet figure that resembles Sean. So this is a present that the uncle brought from the countryside apparently to give it to Jericho. So it's very interesting. So this is I guess it's a puppy. So and it looks like this figure it's not brand new. It looks like this figure actually has a little worn out. And so the uncle is basically, and this is Elm, presumably the name of this figure, taken from a special tree in that countryside where he is from. So this, I guess they made this figure off a branch of this tree. I mean, it can't possibly be that this figure just grown out of that tree. So, but it's just kind of interesting that this figure that resembles Sean. So, and apparently you see that this figure does not look happy. I mean, it definitely looks like this figure is representing something sad about this character. So, and we know that Sean is undergoing punishment right now, losing his taste bud, and getting splinter coming out of his body. So I'm wondering, this figure, what's the consequences of having this doll hanging in the baby's room, and is that something that meant to help the uncle, or is something that is gonna hurt the Sean? It's gonna hurt Sean down the road, so we don't know that for sure. Another thing that I guess is worth paying attention is that Sean actually came up to say hi to the baby. So it does look like at this point that Sean has built up some connection with his son after all this time. Even though initially he's kind of in denial, he does not want to accept the child, but it does seem that to me that at this point that he has started to accept Jericho as someone that he actually cared about. So now let's look at the next scene. So this is about when the uncle is about to say farewell to the family, and he is about to take Lian home with him. And Lian basically told him that, no, I want to stay here. So, and then there's a sequence of conversation words between them, which can be quite revealing. So let's watch.
Liam, is there something you'd like to say to your uncle?
I want to stay.
What about the others? The ones who deserve your help? You will abandon them for this? For her? Very well, then. I'll bring your Aunt May next time. You know you can't say no to her.
So notice that the uncle is like, after hearing her saying, I want to stay, he's like basically saying WTF. Why don't you? I mean, he's basically, he looked disgusted. He looks like he was totally shocked that she didn't want to come home with him. So basically, now he's saying that, okay, what about others? Meaning, I guess, other family that deserve her help. So this kind of, so my theory is right, that Lian is someone here for good. She's not meant to be an evil character. We know that she's actually here to help. Perhaps she, from her prayer and things like that. So, and perhaps more revealing is that he is saying that you would rather stay here with her and for her, meaning like to protect her family. And he said it with kind of a sarcasm, basically hinting that she does not deserve your help. So, and we don't know the backstory, so we don't know why he thinks so low about this family. And we know that this family hasn't largely accepted the Lian's presence and so on, but it has to be something bigger than that. So that we do not.
This is a godless house.
So notice that he's saying that he's gonna bring her Aunt May next time. So, and as I did an analysis over the trailer in my previous part 2 video, I showed that there was a black African American lady in the video that she could well be her aunt. And so will be interesting to know exactly what happened and why he is saying that if actually the aunt came, that she cannot possibly refuse that. Why is that? Does she possess some special power, or is she the head of the household? So it's very interesting to know what's gonna happen. So this ending phrase, so the uncle made a comment about it, saying this is a godless house. So I mean, if you really analyze this scene, that you're not sure, one, whether he's saying it just because he's upset that he got denied about his request, because Lian refused to leave, and so on. Is it simply because he's upset, or is it because that he is actually saying that there's something wrong about this house, and look, you guys all gonna be in trouble, and nobody's gonna be here to protect you, so just watch you guys suffering. So thank you for your attention. What do you think about this episode? I really like it. I think it provides some answers to things that we didn't know before. So I'm just looking to learn more for the future episodes. And let me know, what do you guys think? And do you have any questions? Do you think this uncle is here for the wrong reasons? What do you think he's? Do you think he will appear again in the future episode? So let me know. And like and subscribe.